And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here on the front lines with my co-host.
Right? I'm here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were quite there. I knew you were saying be right back, but thanks for jumping right on in there. So well, let me finish the intro here. So we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Hello, Tank.
Hello, Dan.
So how's it going today? Any news from Kim?
I don't have any news from Kim. It's kind of hard to say right now what she's, really focused on, regardless, because, it's hard to say. She's clearly got some operation going on because either she tells me stuff or, I'm not sure if what she's telling me is just to throw the other people off or what's real or what's not. So right now I don't have anything, but I'm still hopeful. I know, Thomas was talking tonight about some stuff, and he was mentioning that, they continue to try to, they're actually using the vaccines now of trying to bring in $800 million into the United Nations. So that kind of makes sense, right? If that's what they'd be doing. They'd be, trying to find some other way to leverage assets. Now it's just more human life. That's all they basically know how to do.
Yeah.
So, that's the latest scam running. But basically, everything they try to do. I mean, Thomas was talking about basically it's game over. They don't have anything left to leverage against us.
Yeah. Well, it does seem like this is game over for them. They are running a little, at least on the political front, seem to be going flipping out about everything. And Trump is now saying, showing all these people he's pardoning, which is not a lot. It's like, what is it, 27 people he's pardoned. Obama did 1,800 people.
1,900 people, yeah, more.
Or 1,900. Yeah, so whatever it was, so it was this huge number comparatively, and also, the Bushes and Clintons, they pardoned, thousands of people. So, they're saying that Trump's on a pardoning spree, right? Well, for Trump, maybe it's a spree, but compared to the others, it's like not even a blip on the radar, right? And
compared to every other president.
Compared to every other president.
40 years.
So it's always about comparisons, right? The way this is all set up is that always the deep state looks bad in everything that they do. In every assertion that they make, that, Trump, look what Trump's doing. Well, yeah, compared to the Democratic president or other presidents or Republican or any president, it's nothing, right? And he's pardoning, people that were unjustly, put into prison by the same group of people.
Yeah, by a broken court system, right? Exactly.
And the same people that are putting them there, and it was Mueller and Comey. These same group of people who are accused of the same things are the ones that are putting the other people that are, say the conservatives or they're putting their political enemies in jail, regardless of whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. The guy that they put in for Gowitz, however you say his name, he used to have brown hair, now he's got white hair, and he was accused of selling Obama's Senate seat. Right?
Oh, really? I know that.
Yeah, he was. Well, I remember when that happened. He was a governor of Illinois, and when Obama, stepped down, it was up to him to fill the seat because it felt he's the governor of the state, so it was his role to put someone in place there, and I guess, if I remember correctly, he was selling it on behalf of Barack Obama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and something went wrong, and then he took the fall. Right? They put him in jail for 14 years.
Oh.
Right, but then Trump took him out after 8.
Oh, wow. Yeah, must be he turned.
Well, some people are saying that, yeah, that he's well, he's also, obviously very thankful to Trump.
I'm
So,
sure he is.
yeah,
I'll be surprised if he makes it through on dinner. I
yeah,
mean, you know.
yeah, he was. Uh, yeah, well, I think he made it. He made it through his first shave, and he actually cut himself shaving, as he hadn't had a good razor, I guess, or whatever.
Didn't have a violent shaving incident. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the media was camped out at his doorstep, at his house, and then it was when he came out, he was bleeding on his chin. So,
Clearly, like to pardon someone like that, it's like, hey, what's going on there? You know, that's one of your people, right?
yeah, he was a Democrat, and he said Trump didn't have to do that, and he says, and the Democrats haven't been treating him fairly. Just interesting, this contrast. So it's all about contrasting, right?
What's happening?
Oh, yeah, you were saying that. Well, just so you know, I am having some connection problems. Remember, my internet is I'm still working off a hotspot. Still don't have it fixed. We lost connection for a little while, and it still says connecting, but it's now streaming back. It was my connection. My streaming software said it was disconnected. It is reconnected, and I'm watching YouTube for when it comes back on. It seems to be back on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're back on. So you were saying about Gates on The View?
Yeah. So Matt Gaetz was on The View. I mean, torching The View, just the way he does everything else, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I mean, you want to talk about this in a shift? Why would they even have him on The View? I mean, they've demonstrated a clear disrespect for everybody, right?
Right.
And he actually looks at McCain's daughter at one point. Yeah,
Right.
and like, Matt Gaetz is like, he's like a political ninja. I mean, like,
Right.
he's so good. It's like that has to be some part of their deal,
Yeah.
in my opinion. It's like, because they start to challenge him. He just goes into all the accomplishments that are happening of this president. Right?
Well, we've got it queued up. It's 7 minutes. Is it worth going through the entire 7 minutes?
Yeah, it's worth it.
Okay, all right. I'll play.
One of the guys in the White House and one of the White House's strongest and most vocal supporters since day one. Please welcome a man who has obviously never watched The View, Congressman Matt Gaetz. Well,
I do watch you guys make news every week.
Every day. We are a big political show.
I was just wondering if you were wearing black as a consequence of like the death of the political left in the debate last night. It was quite
Don't count the dead yet, the bodies. Let's give it a little time before we count.
Well, Joe Biden at least. I mean, I was hoping that maybe Whoopi's bell could wake up the Biden campaign if you hit it.
I thought he was actually, he didn't do any harm to himself last
What
night.
state's he going to win? I mean, this is a man who,
wait,
the fundamental premise of the Biden campaign is that he's electable and he can't seem to win elections. So now you have socialist Bernie Sanders against billionaire Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah. Well, the Republicans love a billionaire. They love money. So what are you talking about?
Well, Michael Bloomberg used to be a Republican. It's fascinating
he was
that right
a Democrat
now
first.
the Democratic Party is likely not going to nominate a Democrat. They're either going to nominate a socialist or someone who some time ago was a Republican.
Well, let's talk about...
None of them. I don't think any of them are going to beat the president. I think we have a raging economy right now. The American family is seeing revenue pour in as a consequence of higher wages, more productivity, more business investment, more capital coming from overseas into our nation.
Donald Trump was a Democrat first.
He was. We've all sort of been politically square dancing for a while, and I think that we're in a time of real political realignment.
So let's talk about your boss for a second, because yesterday...
Well, my boss are the people of Northwest Florida.
Yeah, okay. So yesterday, Trump...
Well, don't dismiss them. It's the highest concentration of active duty military in the country.
That's true.
And I know Megan's dad served there, so you can attack me if you want.
I'm
Don't
not
attack
attacking you. I'm asking you a question.
Okay.
Yesterday, Trump announced he's appointing another loyalist of his, Rick Grinnell, as his acting director of national intelligence. But Grinnell, as you know, has absolutely no intelligence experience. And he's overseeing all 17 of our intel agencies. He stands between us and the next ISIS attack. And I don't know that it's a smart idea to put somebody who's inexperienced like that, and who's also a yes man.
Just a note here. ISIS is gone.
Right.
So where is she at? Right, the ISIS caliphate has been completely decimated. Their leaders, no one wants to take the next leader position because it went from the first killed off, the second killed off, to the third killed off. Who's next?
Right.
And then they just killed off some from Al Qaeda, right? So Al Qaeda leader was just killed a couple days ago, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. So all the terrorist leaders are dying. Why couldn't the other presidents get them? Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. Make things that makes you go, All right. We'll continue here.
In that position, he's going to have to tell Trump things that he's not going to want to hear. You know how he doesn't like that. Trump doesn't like that.
Well, actually, if you look at the team he's assembled with people like John Bolton, the president regularly surrounds himself with people who disagree with him. I think some of the most spirited discussions I've had have been with Lindsey Graham, Rand Paul, myself, and the president discussing foreign policy. But on Rick Grinnell, 50 years ago, a gay man or a woman would not be able to serve in our intelligence community. There were teams of people that went to find out if you were gay. And they would, we'll get into Grinnell's qualifications, but just for a moment, I would like to take a second to reflect on the fact that it's a good thing in this country that we do not ban gay people from being able to patriotically serve in the intelligence community.
Just transgendered people.
Well, we shouldn't be banning anybody based on who they are and who they love. That's not the kind of Republican I am, and it's not the kind of Republican the president is. So on Rick's qualifications, 8 years at the UN, 2 years in Germany.
Yeah.
He advised the Security Council. And Berlin, where he was active, is one of the hotbeds of intelligence activity. Nothing happens there without the chief of station and the ambassador working together. So Rick Grinnell is very qualified.
So
I
you're
think
saying
it's a
he's
breakable
qualified?
point.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I argue.
Germany, by the way, I was reading about him. They think he's very thin-skinned, but that's another story.
Well, I mean, this is the view, aren't we all?
I have another question for you.
Oh wow! Sorry, I reset that
He's going to
one.
have to tell Trump things that he's not going to.
From the president discussing foreign policy, but on Rick Grinnell. 50 years ago, we shouldn't be banning anybody based on who they are, advised the Security Council. And Berlin, where he was active, is one of the hotbeds of intelligence activity. Nothing happens there without the chief of station and the ambassador working together. So Rick Grinnell is very qualified.
So
I
you're
think
saying
it's a
he's
breakable point.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I argue.
Germany, by the way, I was reading about him. They think he's very thin-skinned, but that's another story.
Well, I mean, this is the view, aren't we all?
So that was where I was trying to stop it and reset it. So he's going at it. I mean, it's like they got, she basically said, well, he obviously hasn't seen The View before, right? It's like they were gonna, take him out, and they don't.
Yeah, right.
And they haven't laid a glove on him, right? And she's stumbling on her words, right? She's. He took her out like in the very beginning, saying just because she's wearing black, right? Right. So. It's amazing how well he's basically repainting Trump, right, for everyone who watched The View.
Right, exactly. He does a great job. I mean, I love Matt Gaetz. He nailed it.
All right, let's continue.
I have another question for you.
No, not.
And you know what? And I think
it is just.
I think we agree on this. About pardon power. Now, the president has been on a pardon spree, and many think he's about to pardon Roger Stone, his longtime friend and one-time campaign advisor, who's being sentenced, I think, any minute now. They're in a break for crimes of obstructing justice, witness tampering, lying to Congress. Do you think Trump should pardon Roger Stone?
I do, and I think that it requires a review of the pardon power.
Come on.
Barack Obama pardoned over 1,700 people. Bill Clinton pardoned 459 people. Bill Clinton pardoned 16 people who were a member of a Puerto Rican terrorist organization that planned murders at the Bronx Tavern here in the United States of America.
Perhaps that wasn't the right
When
thing to do.
when we designed our Constitution, there were vestiges of the British monarchy that Americans still had some reverence for. And one was the notion that the executive, that the sovereign, could extend unlimited grace
Did you just
for
say
any
the
reason
sovereign? Oh my
or
God.
no reason
But
at all.
Council Trump is
That
the
was an
king.
element of,
Oh, I'm sorry,
of the British,
I misunderstood.
of the British system
Council,
that I was saying was borrowed.
No, I understand.
It sounds like you think
What I was
Trump is
getting
the
at
sovereign.
is, can we agree that perhaps that pardon power needs to be reviewed and curbed?
So, great question. In Federalist 74, Alexander Hamilton writes that the reason we have the pardon power is to serve as a check on a criminal justice system, which, if allowed to run wild, could create a great sense of sanguinity in our country. And so I think that if you look at the original intent of the pardon power, it cannot be limited. And again, Trump has pardoned 26 people, Obama pardoned over 1,700, Bill Clinton pardoned 459.
So the answer to the question is what?
I would agree that
You
Roger
think that-
Stone should be pardoned
Okay.
for no other reason than there's been a double standard in this country where people like Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew
So I
McCabe,
just didn't
Clapper,
understand
Brennan
you had to
have
answer.
not
Go ahead,
faced
Megan.
consequences.
Wait, can I just ask you, how about Rob Blagojevich, who flees like a children's hospital? Was that a good pardon?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know very much about the governor of Illinois. I'm not going to get into that one. I know Roger, I don't know Blago, and I'll leave that to others to decide.
Well,
Megan,
Congressman, I understand that Republicans coming on The View, this is a great culture war place to come and like show the leftists what's going on. I get it. My husband works in conservative media. I'm a hardcore conservative. The thing I don't
Did she just say she was a hardcore conservative? No, that's for
I don't think she knows what that word means.
yeah. That was kind of weird. Anyway, so he's he basically walked into that one thing where he said he was referring to the old English way where the sovereign could. So it left an opening for them to jump in. So so Trump is a king. They were waiting.
Oh, I know.
So that was a little bit of a slip up, but that's not too bad. He saved it, right? He explained, but still.
Yeah, he's right. That is where the principle comes from. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. But they were jumping on it. All right, so let's see.
Oh,
I
yeah,
get it. My husband works in conservative media. I'm a hardcore conservative. The thing I don't understand, because I'm not a Trumper, I think that everyone knows that very clear. Policy-wise, he's been great on many things that are very important to me. Life, military, the economy. But his character issues are still what holds me and so many, especially I think conservative women, back from going full throttle with him. And I think you're going to have a problem specifically with college-educated women coming in to the next election cycle. What would you say to women like me who still hold back on the grab them in the blank, attacking war heroes, attacking the Gold Star families, things like that that
Cheating
just
on his wife,
hold us
porn
back?
stars.
Well, look, if cheating on your wife is a disqualification to be president, then y'all probably should have impeached Bill Clinton and
They
supported
did.
that. Well, but
did.
not with all of you waving any pom poms.
I don't know what that means.
To Megan's question, I want to directly answer Megan's question.
Yeah, please.
Donald Trump has a unique ability to get people who don't necessarily agree with him to vote for him. And so I think for women, we're going to have to make the argument particularly that 72% of the new jobs created in this economy have been filled by women. That a lot of women are concerned about the revenue in their family and whether it's going to support careers and opportunity for themselves, their partners, their children. And with 7 million new jobs being created, people coming off of welfare, America is in a sense of great renewal. We've got a comeback president running against the throwback left and the Venezuela wing of the Democratic Party taking over with Bernie Sanders.
Oh, come on, the Venezuela
Go
ring.
listen to Bernie Sanders. He praises Venezuela. He praises Cuba. I don't want that for our great
We
country.
want to thank
That's
Matt
actually a good line.
Gates.
Gates.
Good
Open
Lord.
Gates.
We'll be right back.
Oh, that was excellent. Definitely excellent. I want to see the whole thing now.
Yeah, me too. That's a tough crowd to jump into.
Oh yeah.
I think Donald Trump Jr. went for it, right?
Yeah.
But Matt Gaetz, I feel like every single one of them is so overclassed by Matt Gaetz, and even if they're sitting there waiting, each one of them having one quasi-intelligent thing to say, they're really the only job they actually have is just don't let anything he says have any flow, right? So they just constantly interrupt and blah blah blah, just crazy bickering, TV personalities instead of intelligent thought.
Sorry, I just had a call coming in.
you, all right?
Yeah, it's okay. I just let them
Yep.
know.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that to watch, I mean, you can watch the ridiculousness of the View, which is absolute absurdity. I mean, they were clearly on their best behavior, though. To be quite honest, I mean, they have been so disrespectful, so just raunchy and just disgusting. I mean, the things they talk about, the things they say, the way they say them with such utter disdain and disrespect. I mean, McCain's daughter has been horrible, and like the way she phrased her questioning was very respectful. I thought. I mean, which you don't see on the View. The View is a cesspool of just idiotic ideas and hatred.
Yeah.
They constantly are just throwing hatred out there. So it really makes me wonder if they're being forced to actually put things out there that are fair balance and being potentially threatened with like criminal charges. I actually, this is out there. Thomas read this tonight. I don't know what the code was, but he read the law today. It talks about putting out false information, right? That is actually it's a code of law that you can be arrested for.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is definitely true. That's it's part of the whole aspect of the press, and that's why it's so, that the press is in general quite much in trouble. So if they don't flip around, what would they, they can all go to jail. Literally.
Because if they flip, at least they can plead ignorance and say we didn't know once we knew we corrected.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Which would probably be better for everyone, right? Because then you see people, because let's face it, like we're attached to the personalities we see on television, right? So, it's a natural part of the experience, right? It's like being in a dream. We process things through dreams. Well, that's part of the gimmick of television. It's put there so instead of thinking for ourselves, it'll process for us, right? I mean, when I grew up, we had the TV on 24/7. Like the television was always on. It was just normal, right? Because it's there to process for you. Right? It's telling you the vision, telling you what it's thinking about.
It is the programming. It's great. It's called programming. They
Right,
put on the shows.
exactly.
They call it programming. From this hour to this hour, we're going to program this way, and from this hour to this hour, we're going to program that way. Right? And in between, these are the products to buy.
Right. Like this is what's healthy. This is good for you. Everybody needs to have this, right? I mean, so it's their, I mean, like now we've gotten to a point where you can pretty much watch television with almost virtually no commercials, right? So all they're doing is programming, like just programming straight. And so I think one of the most efficient ways to reverse the flow and to win over, the collective is if you had people in these positions say, you know what, I was wrong. I was looking at this wrong. To have someone like Meghan McCain, who clearly, I mean, she's born of Cain, right? That's what McCain means. Like she's a bloodline lineage who very much at one point was very hoity and arrogant and boastful about things and mean-spirited about everything when it came to Trump. For her to raise her question the way she did just now, I thought was very respectful,
Interesting.
So
interesting perspective on that. Yeah. Well, I did see Thomas put out a broadcast. It was yesterday or something. I don't know if that's when I saw it, but where he's talking about really the organizing the People's Club and that's how to move forward with that. I thought that was interesting, but I didn't see what you were referring to on this one. But I'll look for that to see.
Yeah, it's Thursday night. Thursday night he has a show. And he does it until about, I don't know, probably 120 minutes or so into the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll try and check it out. I did try and catch his stuff. I'm usually I seem to be running 2 weeks behind on catching up with Thomas, but I usually catch up some things in Lucid Dreamer, but those are always like a week later.
Yeah, Thomas has always got some really cool stuff. I mean, I shouldn't even say just pick up his intel. He's always got some really cool stuff he's talking about. I do appreciate his overall presentation of stuff. I mean, he's just got insight, on things and experience and news sources all over the place. So I dig it. I like it.
I always have Thomas's information at the bottom of all the videos as well as the Speak project.
Oh, that's good.
So
Yeah.
so everyone can always find it. I don't usually reference it, but it's a good time to let people know it's there in the description of the videos. Um, but yeah, on there does seem to be a sea change happening, and if the View, Gates going on the View really does, signal that they're trying to, go after the Democrat audience, because that is, I think, really what we're going to see is a complete split between socialism and capitalism. And this is what I've seen this whole last year, was that this was the battle. I mean, it was really the battle on the political front of capitalism versus socialism / communism. And also we could say it was real true free trade between countries, right? Not a globalist free trade, but creating a trade economy between countries. And let's say the Chinese model of their own economic system of just mandating what they're going to produce, and really just trying to acquire resources worldwide, and so there's a division there, and I could also say it's good versus evil, and I think that this is what we're seeing, is that that Trump is going to take out communism worldwide, and I also include China in that. And that will also be part of the transition, because the two systems are incompatible. Pompeo is saying that in a lot of his speeches. When he talks about China, they said they have their own system, which is incompatible. They've had all this time to adapt, right? We gave them all of this entree into the free trade world of capitalism, and all they've done is take advantage, right? And so now it's cut off. Now it's no longer this way. Now it's, you do a free trade and fair, and no more stealing intellectual property or anything else, or you get cut out. And I think this is really what is being laid out in regards to the world economic systems, and I think that's why they will ultimately have to choose to leave the communism system behind.
Well, I think so too. I think that this was all building up to the peaceful transition of power, which is often referred to when you have one president handing off the reins to another president. But in reality, what it was always talking about is transferring power from the West to the East, right? So everything has been geared around making, China this superpower beyond superpowers, right? And having absolute dominion and authority over everything, including our own military there for a while, right? So now, communism is just, like you said, just the religion that was there,
right?
Where you basically, that communism was very conducive, to the purge, or the Great Culling, where you'd have this very limited, small group in the middle of this, rich elite that would, they would be the center of everything, and they would do whatever they wanted. And then all the rest of us, the remaining, 500 million of us, after they killed off everyone, would be so grateful that we were alive that we would serve them night and day, as, great saviors of everything. And it would just become a common practice, right? I mean, after you heavily vaccinated us, laid us down with all types of heavy metal, Big Brother would be a reality, right?
Right.
I mean, 1984 would be, a reality, which, he was praised for this, Orson Welles was praised for this book by the Cabal. Like, you really get it, right?
Right.
Like, you really get what it is. That's exactly what we were trying to do.
Yeah. And this is again, it's the Orwellian. You said Orson Welles, but then the Orwellian, view.
George Orwell?
George Orwell, yeah. But in different, well, an interesting well to draw on. So the value that we're placing in individualism in the people, right, and in their true value, is then not to be harnessed by for the benefit of those few, the rulers, and that's what it comes down to. Even when we're talking about the monarchies and that, the monarchies that respected the people as they're there to protect the people, not and serve the people, is different than the monarchs that are going by the idea that the people are there to serve them. Right. So I think that's where it basically the difference came down in monarchies, but now is translated into the systems, economic systems. We talk about capitalism and communism. These are economic systems that are being represented in the governments of, where we're talking, a republic or a democracy or any other system. So if you look at the parliamentary system in England, they still have capitalism, right, which also took over, right, their monarchy, right, through the Rothschild central banking, right, and that's not true capitalism. That's a monopoly, right, monopoly power, where it was fair would not be the right word for it, but when they ended up buying out the monarchy after Napoleon War, right, through basically deceit, right, or you could say it's deceit, or you could say they were just good business people, because they knew the information before others. It's not fair, but it is something that, would you say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that because it's not fair? Everyone would have done that. Oh, yeah, I'm making a killing. Oh, I own the monarchy now. Oh. But then what do they do with the power after that, right? So it's nothing is all cut and dry. It's what do you do once you have power.
I think that's only true because of the way we measure success, right? So
yes, maybe so.
Would you do that? Like for example, like middle management, right? Middle management is like, people. That's like a big breakthrough when you're working for, a company, right? You break through, you get a management position. Now you're right at the bottom, right? You're the foundation of, and you remember what it's like to be, a regular employee, but you don't do anything to maintain that position. Now, if you have an employee who's exceptional, you don't want them to take your position, right? So now, instead of, doing what you should do, which is develop them.
Well, you still there?
Things like that.
Oh. You faded out. You faded out for a moment there.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yes, so that kind of behavior, is something like, to me, it's such a perfect system. Now, part of the reason is because power, right? So they make power very important. Having power, having control, right? And then we measure your success by how much money you make, right? So then you take I think pharmaceuticals is a perfect example, right? So you go to a pharmaceutical company, and I worked for a pharmaceutical company years ago, and you go in there, and they're all about, they talk a lot about, it's about the patient, about the patient, about the patient, right? Mm. But then when you go to get your review, 80% of your review is based on,
money.
How much drugs did you sell, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, what if that drug isn't the best for the patient, right? How can you do both? You can't push something and find a niche for it, when it comes to someone's health, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be measured by that. What it should really be measured by is the impact your drug or your product, whatever, had on that community, right? Because if we measure your success that way, the doctors will be like, look, we're using this product because it's having, we're saving limbs every day because we're using this product. Or, we have the lowest rate of cardiovascular deaths in this area, right? Now, if that was your measure of success, and doctors as well, why? Certainly doctors should be measured by that, right?
Yeah.
But they're not. As a matter of fact, I have a massive network of doctors, and I can tell you across the board, all doctors respect the doctors that make the most money. That's what they look at as successful.
Yeah.
Not to have the most innovative use of, the resources at hand, treatments they use, or, their intelligence or their ability to diagnose something that other doctors couldn't. They all look at money.
Yeah. But when you let's like compare it to let's say sports heroes, right? Basically they look at their scoring, right? They look at how well they assisted other players. They look at their performance, right? And they look at money, and usually the money is a reference of how well all those other things are working out. So it's like one figure, right? So, but they do use other things to measure their success.
Very true, but their employer doesn't, because their employer looks at those numbers, right? And the better those numbers are, the more money they give them.
Right.
Right. And so at the end of the day, it's like it's like, what have you done for me lately? Right. So if you're very popular and increasing box office sales, things like that, sure, it's going to reflect in your pay. Now, I'm for paying people what they're worth. Don't get me wrong, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you kind of like to be your sports owners, right? That they're a diehard Mets fan, right, or diehard whatever fan, right? That's who you want to be over your team. You don't want just somebody who's just there to make money.
Right.
I mean, the fans.
Well, this is another reason for the positive capitalism, the reverse economy, right? Because if you have someone that's also looking first at the money side, right, and that's rolling, right? That's still the existing system, right? It's still rolling, but you have another system that's valuing things based upon their performance, what they've done, right, and everything other than money. And what they do is then represented in productivity that the government then can use to basically print more money to put out into the system. Instead of collecting tax, it collects productivity. Then those other things are now rateable, right? How many limbs did the doctor save? How long is a patient living? And when a patient hooks up with a doctor, then the doctor now has ongoing ability to be more valued because that patient is living. As long as that patient lives, and there's more value there for them. So this can all be worked out, to value the other things in the world of medicine, right? Those people that are represented, by the doctors, by their health. The longer they live, the more they get. Right? The faster that they heal, the more they
maybe
get.
the quality of life too, I think, would be a factor. I mean,
I agree.
Actually, if you are, a physician who's known for having the most innovative treatments, you could actually, you're going to be able to dictate, like the best plastic surgeons, for example, right? They have the best track record of making people look, I don't know, the same. So I'm sure that they don't all charge the same, right? Because you can go to Colombia back with a brand new body, but you could spend the same amount of money and you would be able to get a nose job here in New York, right? So it's all about things like that. I mean, I guess you can apply the same principle to the healthcare system as well, and kind of value it that way, and that's how physicians would ultimately be regarded, right? But there's so many factors there too. That's where a physician really becomes a teacher, right? How effective of a teacher is a physician? Did you teach those people meaningful lessons so that when they left your office, they were able to actually conduct their life in the manner it brought them a higher quality of life. Actually, you took the time with them. So physicians would have significantly less number of patients, right? But, I think about these things all the time. It's, the way that we judge and really evaluate what is important in our own life is based on the quality of life that we can have, right? So if we have money and we're able to move and function in society, well, that inevitably will make it easier to have a higher quality of life. But because money is such a factor, it kind of takes away from the success of everything we do. Because it's very hard. My sons say this all the time. Like, well, I'm going to do this. I can make a lot of money. I'm like, that's not the reason I want you to work, right? So my goal is always, I want my sons to be able to pursue whatever it is they want to do. I want them to pursue businesses and fail miserably if they want to, just because they get something great out of it, versus just being concerned about surviving.
Yep. So something more that empowers them as people, as humans, right? That makes them feel good about their lives. So doing what you want to do is important, right? It's following your dharma. Making sure that you're in line with what your path is.
You have something called impact investing.
Say again.
Right.
Impact what?
Impact investing. Right?
Impact investing.
Now this is like a big term in the RV, right? Because like money wasn't going to matter, right? So there'd be so much money. So you would invest in things with the intent to have, a true impact, right? Which I think was a good principle. Mm-hmm. That part of it, or that idea of, but for the most part, I think people kind of got clouded and they thought, well, I'm going to have all this money, I'll invest in my yacht, and I have no part of it. But I think real impact investing comes from investing in your community, where you're connected, so that you can actually have an impact and on the people that you care about most, the community you're a part of, like, and I don't think that's always money, like right now, what we're doing is impact investing, right? We're investing in the country, right, with Lawful America, right? That's impact investing. I remember one time my sons dropped a piece of paper in a parking lot, and they were like 4 years old, and I made them pick up every single paper in the parking lot. I did it because I was telling them the whole time, because you know how much I talk. Normally, you can manage I am with my kids. But I was telling them, like, if we don't take care of our neighborhood, nobody will, right? So, but that's the problem. You see these neighborhoods all run down because nobody cares, right? They're just like, that's just the way it is. Everybody breaks these little laws. Nobody's going to arrest you for it. It's a big deal. So it becomes about consequences. But if you look at it like, well, this is where I live. If I don't take care of it, who's going to? You can look at your body the same way, right? Your body's the first gift you ever received from God. So if you don't take care of your body, all right, nobody else is going to, right?
Right. Yep. So, well, this is part of the squeezing out all the money from the system, and nobody has anything. It gets people to lose hope, and then they don't want to do anything around their surroundings or their health, right? Or even go out and look for work, and so they turn towards drugs and end up dying early. So the system has had so much control over the people, but not to the benefit of the people. And it was, so now we see that there this change that's happening. That we're now experiencing. The people that are awake now and now being able to compare. Yeah, I've always known there's something wrong with the system. Poor Roger Stone. Poor Trump. We get it. That they've been abused. And I think that number is probably upwards of 70% of the people. I would disregard those nationwide polls that they conduct that say Trump's at 49% approval rating, right? I think it's probably off by 15, 20 points because they don't. Because they pull them and it's skewed. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get 70% of the people in the next voting cycle. And that's for Democrats everybody, and there's a massive loss across the board for the people that are on the social democrat side, on the ones that are not thinking, that they're just in anger. Right? But it's the ones that have woken up enough to think that they're saying, this was stupid. We're seeing what's happening in front of our eyes, that there's a two-tiered system, and it was turned against Trump. And I think that's what we're seeing. I see that this change is going to happen across the board. When all the people, when they have these massive groups for these rallies for Trump, they're getting 20% of the people there are Democrats.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a massive amount, right? of conversions, right? How many people didn't go, right? Because they're still dealing with their social environments, right? But they'll still vote for Trump the next cycle or vote Republican in the next cycle. So I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers. Trump continually they tried to try to make it look like he was paying people to come to the rallies, but it's like, how can you even compare? Like, the Democrats don't even have a candidate.
Bloomberg is. He's
what, paying people?
Well, bribing. Well, he's putting out beer and cheese spreads and good food. If you go to one of his rallies, you're going to get fed well and beer.
Yeah, like. Well, I guess that's one way.
Well, I'm sure people will go for the beer, but they're still going to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having a big party, like Bloomberg by himself. Bloomberg, I thought actually did a pretty good job as mayor of New York. But he's not likable at all. And the political debate so far for the Democrats have been a sham. Did you see what's her name? Pocahontas there slam Michael Bloomberg?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Black and Bloomberg.
Black and Bloomberg, I thought.
Yeah, that's one of the headlines this morning, right? So he was beat up, right? And this is this is obviously some. It's going to be Bernie versus Bloomberg going into it, but Bloomberg's not going to get more than Bernie as a percentage, right? And so you got a third, and then who's making up the rest? And then they go into the brokered convention, and who comes out the other end? Hillary.
Oh my gosh!
It's not going to be Pete. So who's it? I remember I was saying whoever doesn't attack Mayor Bloomberg last night, or doesn't tear into him hard, right? Is going to be the one that Bloomberg will end up being like behind him as they push forward after the brokered convention. I think it might be something like that. I don't see I can't see it that Bloomberg will be able to pull it off by himself. So it's going to be Bernie and against, or they should, the socialist side is all going to be left behind, right? I think it would be really perfect for it to be Bernie versus Trump. Two populists. One side has 30% of the population. and the other side is 70%. And that'll reshape the whole country in the one fell swoop, and then socialism will die.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I hope that happens and anticipate it happening.
The one reason that they could never implement socialism all this time was because everyone was doing well, right? While this was taking root in the 80s, the socialist side, right, of the Democrat Party, all started back in the 70s and 80s, right? But while this was happening, everyone said the same thing. It will never take place in America. Why? Because everyone was doing well. So that's why they had to make everything not work, right? And remove all the wealth from the people so that they would go for the socialism. But if Trump flips everything and everyone starts making a lot of money, that's just all going to die away.
Well, you know what? Trump's in Colorado right now. And my dream is that he just stops by to hang out with Kim and they get a bunch of things settle out real quick.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty high profile area where Kim is. Like Dick Cheney had a house there. It's like filled with all types of people that had a.
You mean until he didn't have a house there?
Yeah, until it turned into ashes, right? It's rubble. But he tried to kill Kim, but but there's allegedly there's a whole bunch of very high profile assets that are there that are kept safe, right?
Yeah.
Well, it would make sense, right? Like, hey, you're up there. Why don't you just stop in and bring a terminal in and handle some business? No big deal.
Yeah. Well, you should ask him, is Trump going to stop by for some tea or coffee?
Oh, I'm sure I would not be privy to that until after the fact. But what I can dream, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we can.
So.
Okay, we good for today? Or you want to go?
Good for today, man. That's all I got. Thanks so much. Appreciate you as always. Everybody, have a great night. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. And hopefully we'll try and start a little bit earlier. I know we've been, starting about half an hour later than we have been. I actually forgot my, the time slipped by. I was on the phone with someone and there it went. Working on the gold ring coin, and we're developing an auction site for it as well. And the exchange is also start to be testing, maybe starting beginning of next week. Just moving forward, also do a gaming site for it. So we had all that on a meeting that we had today. Well, it was like 4:20 in the morning for me, or it was a UTC on February 20th at 20 hours and 20 minutes. So 02202020. We did that. So I'm going to post that meeting later on today. Just need to move it up to YouTube. I'll be able to do that as soon as we're off of this broadcast. And but anyway, be sure to subscribe, share, give thumbs up if you like what we're doing here. We've got 19 likes right now, and we'll be back tomorrow. So see you then.